Om Ashato Ma Sadgamaya Tamasho Ma Jyotirgamaya Mrityorma Amritangamaya Avirabir Maidhi Rudro Yatte Dakshinang Mukham Te Namang Pahi Nityam Te Namang Pahi Nityam Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. O Lord, lead us from the unreal to the real. Lead us from darkness to light. Lead us from death to immortality. And evermore shine in our hearts with your resplendent face. Om peace, peace, peace be unto us all. We are very happy today to have our center of attraction, Swami Sarvapriyananda. We are so happy to have him with us. It was, at one time I saw him first in Belur Math, and I asked him, would you please come to our Hollywood Center? Swami said, yes, I can go, only wherever our headquarters will send. And I was thinking that, and I asked the headquarters, they said, no, it's so busy, so you cannot get it. So we thought we'll miss the chance. But by God's grace, again, he came to Hollywood itself first. And then there was a bigger call for the New York Center, so the Swami had to be taking the responsibility of the New York Center. But moreover, it is a great blessing for the West, is it not? Yes. It's resounding. So it is because this is the place where we should learn about Vedanta and how to make it practical in our life. So is every speech to bring our awareness into the higher consciousness. That is the constant message of Vedanta, which we get it from him. So I don't want to take any minute to introduce, because he does not need any introduction, no? So we are happy to have him, and we will be glad to hear from him on the topic Contemplating Non-duality at Dawn. Today tomorrow, day after tomorrow, 3 days here. And then at the end of his talk, he will give some QA, question answer, but don't make your question too long to take away the time, rather precise so that we can get many chances to hear his response. And then 2 days, next 2 days, he will be in Santa Barbara on Friday and Saturday. And again, we get a chance here on Sunday, 11 o'clock, to speak over here. So we are very happy to have him with us, and I welcome Swami Sarvapriyananda ji to speak here. Thank you.
Om Asato ma sadgamaya tamaso ma jyotirgamaya mrityurma amritam gamaya. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Om, lead us from the unreal to the real, lead us from darkness unto light, lead us from death to immortality. Om, peace, peace, peace. Revered Swami Sarvapriyananda Maharaj, other revered monks, revered Matajis, other monastic members, and dear friends, great to be back here. Just a little while ago, somebody was saying, I've seen you in so many places, but you have come to my home base. Well, it's my home base also in a certain way. This is where I started off in the United States. When revered Maharaj Sarvapriyananda said you give talks on 3 consecutive days, what was I going to talk about? It was what Americans would call a no-brainer, because there is this hymn which I chant every day in the morning. It has 3 verses. And it's called Contemplating Brahman at Dawn, prātaḥ smaraṇa stotram, hymn of contemplation at dawn. So contemplating non-duality at dawn. And I'll chant the hymn before you, and I'll give you sort of a running translation. And then we will look at these verses carefully. As Maharaj said, we will have some Q&A after this, today, tomorrow, and day after. I think the Q&A is very important. The message itself is pretty simple, and we have heard it again and again and again. Somebody said to me in New York, not to me straight up, but I heard, it was reported to me, somebody said, it's the same lecture every time. Well, you've caught me out, because it's basically, I have only one thing to say, and it's pretty simple. You are that. You are Brahman. And especially in this day of YouTube and social media, everybody's heard it. It's very difficult to give new talks all the time. But a professor, all the way in Oxford, in England, when I was saying this several years ago, he said to me, don't worry, Swami. People don't come to you to listen to new stuff. They want the oldies, the golden oldies. So, yeah. The hymn goes like this. Prātaḥ smaraami hridhi sangsphurad atmatattvam satchid sukha swarupam paramahamsa gatim turiyam yat swapna jagara sushuptam avaiti nityam tad brahma nishkalamaham na cha bhuta sanghaha. Pratar bhajami manasa vachasamagambhyam vacho vibhanti nikhilaya danugrahena yanneti neti vachasa nigamavochu tam deva devam ajamachyutamahuragriyam. Pratar namami tamasah paramarkavarnam purnam sanatana padam purushottamakhyam yasmin nidam jagadashesha shesha murto rajvam bhujangamiva pratibhasitam vai. Very sublime. I'll give you a running translation. when I used to first started teaching here, that was in 2016, I had these informal classes going. And there was a gentleman in those classes who said, "Too much Sanskrit, Swami." And so we reached an agreement that he would sit at the back of the class, and I promised to translate everything. But when it was too much Sanskrit, he would wave his hands in alarm, and I would immediately translate and cut down on the Sanskrit. But I used the Sanskrit for two reasons. One, it's beautiful to hear the original sounds of it. Even if I don't get it, the original sounds are very uplifting. And second, a practical reason. Oh, there's somebody there. You can come right in. There's this place here. You can come sit here. Come in. You want to be a witness? The witness consciousness, yes. Okay. So, the second reason is that it helps me, so that I have the original text to refer to. So here's the translation. At dawn, I recollect the real nature of the self, ever shining in the heart. I'll explain all this later on, but I'm giving a literal translation now, more or less. Ever shining forth, spontaneously shining in the heart, the real nature of the self, which is pure existence, pure consciousness, pure bliss, which is attained by the Paramahamsa Sannyasis, the fourth, which is the illuminer of our waking, dreaming, and deep sleep. That Brahman I am, that partless Brahman I am, not a collection of material elements. That's the first verse. And it's the one we will concentrate on today. The second one is, at dawn I worship, I adore that reality which is beyond mind and speech. But because of whose grace speech operates, language is able to express itself and illumine the world itself. Everything is revealed by language, all language operates by its grace. That which the Upanishads, the Vedas, the Upanishads, they cannot reveal directly, because it can't. Upanishads are texts, so they can't reveal it directly if it's beyond language. They talk about it only indirectly through negation, by saying not this, not this. That God of gods, that self, the God of gods. Remember, all the time he's talking about you. That God of gods, without origin, the one who is without origin, the one whose nature is unwavering, the one who is primary or first, that one I worship at dawn. And then the third verse is, at dawn I salute the blazing sun of consciousness which is forever beyond darkness, which is Purnam, which is infinite, limitless, which is eternal, which is known as Purushottam, the supreme reality, Purushottam. In which this entire universe of all this tremendous variety appears in which like a snake appears in a rope. That one I salute. All right, so this is the hymn. Already some mystified glances. By the way, I can see some, it's very nice to see many old faces, familiar faces, and also very nice to see some new faces too. I remember when I first became a monk, a new brahmachari in an ashram in India, a senior monk told me, in Bengali, I'll translate, but he said, Nuton brahmachari ar praveen shadhu ashramet shobha. The new novices, the ones who have come to become monks, the new entrants into the monastery, and the senior monks, the elderly monks, these are the beauty of the ashram, the glory of the ashram, It's great to see new seekers, new faces here. All right, here we go. At dawn, which means it's a good practice to start in any spiritual practice, it's always recommended you start your day with a spiritual practice, with a thought of God, with a prayer. Here in Advaita Vedanta, in non-dual Vedanta, our attention is drawn to our real nature, our abiding nature, the ground of all things, the ultimate reality. It all sounds very profound. Remember, at all times, today, tomorrow, and day after, all times, whenever I'm talking about this hymn, I'm talking about you, just you. We start by Atma Tattvam. Smarami literally means I remember. I remember, bring to my mind, recollect. Atma Tattvam. Atma means self. You, I, myself. But not just self. Atma Tattvam. Tattvam, the word Tattvam in Sanskrit means reality. The reality of the self. Thereby implying, when you just say you, yourself, we already have an idea about ourselves. And the claim here is, you are deeply mistaken about yourselves. You do not know who or what you are. Swami Vivekananda often would say to visitors who came to him here in the United States, if only you knew yourselves as you truly are. That is the key to solving all problems in our lives. So this contemplation on our real nature. And what is this contemplation on our real nature? He says, just contemplate. By the way, this verse, this hymn is Shankaracharya. It's at least attributed to Adi Shankaracharya. So Adi Shankaracharya says that when you wake up, do this. It works really well if you were dreaming just before waking up. And if you have some recollection of a fading dream, or if it's vivid, great. If it's not vivid, at least vaguely if you recollect, immediately do this. Notice how, when you wake up, the entirety of the dream experience disappears and is instantly replaced by this experience of you sitting up on your bed or couch or wherever you are sleeping. How a world disappears and is replaced by another world. I remember just a few days ago it happened. I was dreaming. I was this 12-year-old school kid. And it was school. I remember this much of the dream. It was school, and I was a school kid, and all the kids were running to the balcony of the school to do something, and I was anxious. I was missing out on something. What's going to happen now? In a dream, it happens like this. There's anxiety. There's something happening. And suddenly it came to me, oh, it's 15th August, the Independence Day of India, and we all have to sing the national anthem. So I rushed and I started singing the national anthem along with all the kids, and I woke up and I sat up on my bed in Manhattan. And because I've been reciting this hymn, it's become sort of mechanical with me. So the moment I wake up, I start reciting. So it was just, what occurred to me was, amazing. That was India, a corner of India. This is Manhattan, in New York. That was 40 years ago. This is now 2023. That was a 12-year-old kid. Here I am, a 52-year-old monk. That person's appearance was different. This person's appearance, the body is physically quite different. The thoughts in that kid's mind were very different. And thoughts in this mind are quite different. Attitudes, knowledge, memories, very different. The world that was around that kid, it was a school building and surrounded by school kids, and it's a particular occasion. And here it's the ashram in Manhattan, and it's my bedroom. The world changed. And that was India, this is the United States. The world changed, the person has changed, the time has changed. Time, space, object, desha, kala, vastu in Sanskrit. Tremendously different, completely replaced. One replaced the other. And yet something continued. I was there, I experienced that. And I'm here, I experienced this. And because I'm not a philosopher in that sense, so immediately my common sense reaction, oh, that was a dream, this is real. But the Chinese philosopher, Zhuangzi, he went to sleep under a tree. Philosophers get plenty of time to do such things. In the middle of the day. And he dreamt he was a butterfly. Then he woke up, and his first reaction was, am I a philosopher who was dreaming that he was a butterfly? Or am I a butterfly who's dreaming that he's a philosopher? Philosophers can do that. He didn't think that, oh, I was dreaming, now I have awakened. But how do I know? See, Chuang-Tzu would have told me, hold on, before you dismiss that as a dream and this as accept this as reality. That world, that person, that time was presented to you, the witnessing awareness. And this Manhattan, this 52-year-old body and this place and this time is being presented to you, the same witness awareness. What right do you have to dismiss one as a dream and accept one as the reality? You know? The king Janaka, this is a story I love very much. I heard this from a monk in the Himalayas many, many years ago in 2004. And the king Janaka, who was also a philosopher, a king and a philosopher, he went to sleep, cutting the story short. Some of you may have already heard it online. I'm going to cut it short. It was a long story. And I sort of had the inkling that the monk used to extend the story according to the time available. His stories would always end when the sun went behind the mountains. You know, it suddenly becomes dark in the high mountains because it goes behind the market. And all stories ended at that time, strangely enough. So the king Janaka woke up suddenly in the middle of the night, and there was a commotion in the palace. The soldiers came and told him, Highness. Yeah, now it's on. Yeah. Highness, we are under attack. The enemy has attacked us. We must go and defend the kingdom. And the king said, call out the cavalry and the infantry, call my generals, give me my armor and bow and arrow and everything. And he went out and fought this battle, and he lost the battle. And he was captured by the enemy and dragged before the invader. And the invading king said, Janaka, you are defeated, and I exile you. Your kingdom is now my kingdom. And poor Janaka, overnight he was a pauper. He was a king the night before, and now he's a pauper. He's nobody. And he stumbled from door to door in his kingdom, begging for a little bit of water or food. Nobody would help him. His erstwhile subjects, they were scared of the new conqueror. He stumbles out and walks, and he goes to the next kingdom, which leads me to think that it couldn't have been a very big kingdom. And then he finds this place where, you know, food is being distributed for the poor people, like a soup kitchen. It was khichdi, rice and lentils. And when he comes to the head of the line, the person says that the food is finished, and he begs, give me something, I can't take it anymore. So whatever little gruel was left at the bottom, the scrapings of the barrel, you know, they scraped it out and put it in a bowl and gave it to him. As Janaka was about to take it to his lips, trembling hands, a kite swoops down, knocks the bowl from his hands. It goes rolling in the dust. So does Janaka. He falls down weeping in the dust, crying out, alas, alas. The story was in Hindi, so he said, ha ha kar karte the. And you know, the ha ha means in Hindi or Sanskrit means exactly the opposite of what it means in English. In English, yeah, English it means that, ha ha. In Sanskrit it means alas, alas. And at that moment he sat up on his bed. And he would have said, if I were there, I would have said, oh, that was a dream. This is, thank God, it's a nightmare. And this is the reality. But he is a philosopher. And he thought, was that true or is this true? In Hindi, you know, wo sach ya ye sach. Was that true or is this true? And the soldiers came in, the guards. Sir, you shouted, is anything wrong? Was that true or is this true? They got scared. They went and called the queen. The queen came in and said, now what's the matter, old man? You know, what's wrong? And he said, was that true or is this true? The queen calls the court physician. The doctor comes and takes his pulse. Your Highness, is everything all right? Are you feeling unwell? Was yeah. Yeah, so, yeah. Google's also listening. Sometimes it happened once or twice when I gave a Vedanta talk, and suddenly Alexa or Google or whoever it is suddenly says from somewhere in the audience, say, I'm sorry, I didn't understand that. And somebody in the audience said, both you and me, sister. And And very soon the news spreads across the city that the king has lost his marbles. And even before social media in those days, somehow, the rumor spread that the king is just saying, is that true or is this true? He's come to court, but whatever matters of state are brought before him, he just says, was that true or is this true? People are bewildered, what's going on? But the great sage Ashtavakra is in town, and he hears this, and he's friends with the king. Both of them discuss Vedanta. So he goes to the king's court and says, Your Highness, how are you today? And the king says, was that true or is this true? Imagine, he's surrounded by ministers, his queen, all the soldiers, and was that true or is this true? And Ashtavakra, the sage, he knows the mind of the king. So he says, when you were there, rolling in the dust, bewailing your lot, the defeat and all your sorrows, all this pomp and glory and your power and prestige, was any of it there? The king said, no. And now when you are sitting in the midst of your power and glory at the peak of your strength, that defeat, that pain, that loss, is any of it here? The king said, no. Then, O king, neither this is true nor that is true. And the king is taken aback. He says, is nothing true then? And then the sage Ashtavakra said, that was not true, that dream, but you experienced it, right? Yes. And this is also not true, but you are experiencing it. You're here, you're experiencing it, right? He says, yes, I am. That cannot be denied. In that case, O king, neither that is true, nor this is true. You are the truth. Na ye sach, na wo sach, tum hi sach. So this is the method of the analysis of the three states of waking, dreaming, and deep sleep. This is found in many of the Upanishads, Brihadaranyaka and Chandogya, but classically the most important Upanishad which talks about the analysis of the three states is the Mandukya Upanishad. The shortest of the Upanishads, most powerful of the Upanishads, and it says, it has only one thing to say, the analysis of the three states of waking, dreaming, deep sleep, exactly like what we did right now. And that's it. No more stories, no arguments are there, but no stories, no descriptions of teacher, student, no descriptions of Vedic rituals and stuff like that. Just waking, dreaming, deep sleep, a contemplation on that, and what do we get from that? See, this is one of the beauties of Advaita Vedanta. That all you need is your quotidian experience, our daily experience, our experience of being the subject and the object. I am the experiencer, and this is all that I experience. That's enough for you to start the Advaitic inquiry into who am I or what am I. The experience of waking, dreaming, deep sleep. Who doesn't have that? We all have that. We all are awake. We sleep, dream, often all in the same Vedanta class. So we all have these experiences. Come on out here. There are seats which are free. Yeah. We all have these experiences. And the beauty is this. There is no demand that, either you do a lot of these spiritual practices and then you will have these extraordinary spiritual experiences and then you will know. When Vivekananda says that if God exists, I should be able to see God. If I have an immortal soul, I should be able to feel it. This is a demand for a kind of empirical experience. Empirical, quote unquote, not sensory, supersensuous experience, but experience nevertheless. And a kind of experience which is not commonly there. We don't have it. So that's one kind of spirituality. That there are many branches, yogic, tantric, many branches of spiritual practice which say that you do these sadhanas, these spiritual practices, and you will get certain extraordinary mystical experiences which will prove to you the claims of religion, which is true, which is great, by the way, which is what might be called the yogic path or the mystical path. But there's a peculiar advantage in the Advaitic path that it takes as its basis experiences which we all have. Waking, dreaming, deep sleep. So Shankaracharya says in this hymn, take a look at your waking, dreaming, deep sleep. What do we see that? We just contemplate, just take a look at your experiences of being awake, your experiences of dreaming, and experiences of deep sleep. That which illumines all of them, swapna jagara sushuptam aveti nityam, which is constant, the constant illuminer of aveti literally means knows. Knows, but then knows, the word knows, technically, it immediately implies is somebody who's knowing, or some entity which is knowing, and something which is being known, and then some instrument of knowledge is used. So for example, I am the knower, and this is the known object. I use my eyes to see this object. A knower, a known object, and an instrument of knowledge. That's not how you realize the self, the real nature of the self. So a better meaning for this aveti would be not the knower of the three states, but the witness of the three states. Even the word witness has a slight tinge of an action there, like I'm witnessing. I am the witness of all the states of the body, or if you're doing mindfulness meditation, you're asked to witness the in-breath and the out-breath. All very good, but still an action. How do you know it's an action? It's an action, not your real nature. How do you know it's an action, not your real nature? If it takes any effort to sustain it, then it's an action. So being mindful, it takes effort to sustain it. You try it. The first experience anybody has of mindfulness meditation is how unmindful we are. So you have to bring your mind back to it again, the in-breath and the out-breath. So the word witness automatically gives in our mind a certain tinge of activity, action. There's no action there. It's effortless, it's choiceless. So the best word translation for this aveti would be the illuminer of your waking, dreaming, deep sleep. That awareness in which the knower and the known, the waker and the waking world appeared, played around, and disappeared. What do I mean by the waker and the waking world? I mean that 12-year-old kid and the school and the singing of the national anthem. That's the waker and that's the dreamer and the dream world. It's the same awareness in which the waker and the waking world appears and disappears. What is the waker and the waking world? The one who sat up on the bed and said, "Oh, I am the Swami Sarvapriyananda sitting in Manhattan in 2023. This Manhattan 2023, the bedroom there, and the Swami sitting up there, that's the waker and the waking world. That little kid, school, singing their national anthem, that was the dreamer and the dream world. And in between, there were states of blankness, deep sleep. So you can sort of posit a sleeper and a deep sleep, quote-unquote, world. There's no world there. It's a seed state. So that one awareness in which all three states come and go, waking state, in Sanskrit, Jagrat, dream state, in Sanskrit, Swapna, deep sleep state, in Sanskrit, Sushupti. These are states. States of what? Often they're translated, these are states of consciousness. Not really states of consciousness. Technically, they're all states of the mind. It's the mind which is awake, which dreams, and which goes into sleep and awakens again. You, the consciousness, the awareness, is always a constant light, a constant illuminer of all three states. In each state, there is a knower and there is a known. So for example, this is my waking state. I am the knower, and this is my known universe. In dreams, where I am the... Is somebody? Yeah. In dreams, I am the person dreaming, and there is a dream world, which the king... What is that? Oh, okay. There's a dream world. The king Janaka, who was defeated. Yeah, the problem is not only I get distracted, the audience also gets distracted. That's the problem. Yeah. So the king Janaka and his defeat by the enemy and all of that, that's the dream state. And he was the knower in that dream state, and he knew a certain world which he experienced, and all of it disappeared when he woke up. So the waking and with the waker and the waking state, the waking world, the dream state with the dreamer and the dream world, and the deep sleep state with the deep sleeper and the darkness or the indistinguishable mass of which you experience in deep sleep, the blankness, the darkness. All of them come and go in one awareness. Now if you count in this way, waker, dreamer, deep sleeper. 1, 2, 3. Waker, dreamer, deep sleeper. And yet I am the same one. I have to admit. I am the same one who felt that I am a little kid about to sing the national anthem 40 years ago in India. I am the same one who felt I am a monk sitting up from my sleep in Manhattan in 2023. King Janaka was the same one who felt that I have been defeated, my life is ruined, my kingdom is gone, and woke up and thought, oh, I am the king, I'm sitting up in my royal bedchamber, and was that true, or is that true, is this true? But it is the same Janaka, it is the same Sarvapriyananda. The bodies are different, the personalities are different, the time is different, the place is different, the people surrounding objects and people are different, the worlds are different, and yet the experiencing consciousness is the same. Even the personalities are different. The dream person and the waking person are not the same. They're different. But the one consciousness behind them is the same. That's why waker, dreamer, deep sleeper, they all must be one. I mean, common sense. When you wake up from sleep and dreaming, you don't say, that was a different person, I am a different person. No. You say, I was dreaming. I was asleep. I am now awake. I am the same one. Then what's the nature of that same one? Waker, dreamer, deep sleeper, they are all mutually exclusive. But there is one something behind all of them to which all of them are appearing and disappearing. That thing is called the fourth. The fourth. In Sanskrit, turiyam. Shankaracharya uses the term turiyam. It literally means the fourth. Waker 1, dreamer 2, deep sleeper 3. Consciousness by itself, the fourth. The awareness by itself, the fourth. Now we are seeking Atma Tattvam, the real nature of the self. And Shankaracharya here tells us, you are that bare awareness, that bare consciousness to which these worlds and the knowers of these worlds appear and disappear. Waker in the waker's world, dreamer in the dreamer's world, deep sleeper in the deep sleeper's world. And these knowers and the known worlds, they are not different from this awareness. I like the gold and ornaments example here. I've used this often. The same gold, it's made into a necklace. And then it's melted and made into a ring. And then it's melted and made into a bracelet. Now notice, a necklace is very different from a ring. A ring is very different from a bracelet. They look different, their uses are different. You put a necklace here, you put a bracelet here, you put a ring on the finger, and the names are different. Necklace, bracelet, ring. Names are different, forms are different, uses are different. And yet we all know the substance, the reality behind all of them is the same. It's literally the same gold which was given the name and form of a necklace or a ring or a bracelet. Underlying in and through the three ornaments, different names, different forms, different uses. In Sanskrit, nama, rupa, vyavahara. And there is one underlying reality. And sounds fancy when you talk about it philosophically. It's common sense. We know it's the same gold. Now, what Vedanta wants to tell us is, through your waking experience, dream experience, and deep sleep experience, there is one underlying reality. And that is called the fourth. What's its nature? What's its nature? What's this fourth? What's it like? Yeah, it's the real me. But what is the real me? And he says, Satchid Sukha Swarupam. It is pure being, pure awareness, pure bliss. You are that. Our first reaction is, I would like to be that. Sounds kind of cool, but I am not, I assure you. I am this body. I am this person. No matter how much fancy philosophy you unload on me, I just literally feel I'm this body and mind. But notice, this body disappeared from my experience when I was dreaming. That I was sleeping on a bed in Manhattan, that whole thing disappeared. And I experienced myself as a little school kid. That this body which was sleeping on the bed was not in my experience when I was dreaming. This King Janaka, who was sleeping on the bed quite safe, was not at all in his experience when he found that he was defeated by the enemy and bound and dragged, rolling in the dust in despair. It was not there. That body was not there. What I'm trying to say here is a subtle argument. Your conscious experience continues without reference to this body. When you fall asleep and you dream, you continue to experience. You have dream experiences. But this body plays no part in your subjective experience of the dream, what might be called your phenomenological experience of the dream. This particular body is not present at all. That means, in principle at least, your conscious experience can continue without being, always with this body. Which means, in principle, the two are not the same. What is the logic I'm applying here? Two things are different if you can experience one thing in the absence of the other. Two things are different if you can experience one thing in the absence of the other. Here, you are experiencing the table and the cloth. Now I can show you the table without the cloth. That means the table and the cloth are different entities, right? Here I can show you the table, no cloth. I can show you the cloth, no table. So they are different entities. But this cloth and its orange color, I can't show them to you differently. They seem different. Orange is a color and the cloth is a cloth. But this orange cloth, you cannot see the orange color apart from the cloth, because you can't have an orange floating in the sky, So I cannot say, though I say this is orange color and the cloth, I cannot in practice show them to you differently. So they are not two different things. It's one thing. This is a kind of a rough way of reasoning it out. So notice, you can experience your own existence in your dreams without experiencing your body. Right now, in the waking state, whenever you experience yourself, your body is there with you. But in dreams, you can experience a world, you can have a lot of experience, good and bad, without this particular body, which will be sleeping on the bed. That's not part of your dream. We have questions, and there'll be time for those questions. But think it through. But let me give you a little bit of a hint about something interesting. You can your conscious experience will continue without the body. You can have that, you can have dream experiences, you can have the deeply meditative experiences where your body does not form part of your subjective experience of yourself. However, the other way around is not true. You cannot have the body without yourself as the consciousness, as the awareness. No experience of body is possible without you as the experiencing consciousness. Let me repeat that. Two things are different if one thing can be experienced in the absence of the other. Cloth and table are different. You can experience table without cloth, you can experience cloth without table. No problem. But, and in the same way, you can experience yourself as a conscious being without your body. How? Dreams, hallucinations, deep meditation. It's not uncommon. But you can never experience your body without yourself experiencing first yourself as a conscious being. Never. Implication being that the consciousness which you are is distinct from the body, but the body is not distinct from consciousness. And just leave it at that. It's a tremendous assertion to make. This is where the heart of Advaita Vedanta lies. So, just like the gold is the one reality of the bracelet, necklace, and ring, similarly, this one existence consciousness bliss is like the gold, which appears as your waking experience with the waker and the dreamer, which appears as your dream experience with the dreamer, waker and the waking world, which appears as your dream experience as the dreamer and the dream world, which appears as your deep sleep experience as the blankness of deep sleep. In reality, it is awareness, it is consciousness. Satchit Sukha Swarupam. Technically called the fourth, with respect to waker, dreamer, deep sleeper. It's called the fourth. Not really the fourth. Mandukya Upanishad says, Chaturtham Manyante. It is said to be the fourth. By whom? Who thinks it's the fourth? Agyaha, the ignorant. In reality, it's the one. It's the one reality which appears as three: waking, dreaming, deep sleep, waker, dreamer, deep sleeper, waking world, dream world, and the deep sleep potential, the darkness, the seed state. Okay. Paramahamsa Gatim, the goal of the Paramahamsa sannyasis. Now, this is the goal of Advaita Vedanta. Shankaracharya is always very partial to monks, so he says the Paramahamsa sannyasis, it's a particular kind of, the highest order of monks in Vedanta, which their goal is realizing this. Goal means it's the truth of all of us. So basically, what it means is that it's our goal as spiritual seekers, everybody's goal as spiritual seeker, and it's not a goal because it's you yourself. So gati here means our gati, to realize this. It's not a goal to be attained, not somewhere you go or attain something. You realize, I am that Brahman. Ridi sangsfurat uses the word. So where do I find this? Where do I focus? Where do I, if you want a location, he says in the heart. In the heart, Ridi. Heart, three meanings. One meaning is physical, not the biological heart, but in the center of the chest. You focus there. It's a good place for meditation. So if you want to focus, I am the witness consciousness, and you need to anchor yourself. Primary, first meaning, preliminary meaning would be you focus here. As you wake up, I am the awareness to which all of these is appearing. But a deeper, better meaning is in the mind. Heart means in the mind of the intellect. Shankaracharya often, in his commentary, buddhi guhayam, heart, hridaya, the heart means buddhi, the intellect. Basically, what it means is very simple. Right now, in our thoughts, feelings, emotions, ideas, there is one awareness. That's what he means. In our minds all the time, thoughts, feelings, emotions keep coming and going. The sense of ego arises, that also goes away. But one thing is constant, awareness. Samspurat, ever shining forth, spontaneously shining forth. Notice, thoughts are many kinds, feelings of many kinds. When you feel happy, sometimes you feel sad. The happy feeling, sad feeling are different, but both are feelings to you, the awareness. When you're feeling happy, are you aware or not? Are you conscious or not? Yes, you're conscious. Without being conscious, you can't feel happy. When you feel miserable, are you conscious or not? Of course. That's why people try to be unconscious when they're miserable. They drink themselves into unconsciousness, they take drugs, or they're just, they're depressed. I don't want to get out of bed. So you are conscious when you feel miserable. When you're thinking, you're conscious. When you feel, I'm not thinking, what are you thinking about? Nothing. Nothing. All right, so nothing. I'm aware that I'm not thinking anything. When I remember something, I'm conscious of remembering. When I fail to remember something, the tip of the tongue phenomenon, I'm trying to remember, it's not there. I'm conscious of it. Consciousness is there. In waking, in dreaming, in deep sleep, consciousness is there. Thinking, not thinking, understanding, not understanding, remembering, forgetting, waking, dreaming, deep sleep, one consciousness is there, shining forth. That is, he's saying, sangsfurat, spontaneously, effortlessly shining forth. Ridi sangsfurat. So I said three meanings of the heart. One is focus here, that's a good place. Another deeper meaning is locate it in your mind. You are the light shining in the mind. You shining, all the thoughts in the mind are lit up, are revealed. By your light, the mind is lit up. So in the mind. And the deepest meaning of the heart is awareness itself, is the Atman itself. Ramana Maharshi uses it in this sense. Hridaya. The Hridaya in Ramana Maharshi's terminology is the Atman itself. Sri Ramakrishna, he says the nature of enlightenment is bodhe bodhkara, realizing the awareness in the awareness. In fact, if you expand a little more, realizing that you are awareness where? In awareness. That is the meaning of the heart. Deeper and deeper meaning. Physical, mental, and the real, what you really are, pure consciousness itself. Yes, Hridhi Sangsfurad, Atma Tattvam, Satchid Sukha Swarupam. this limitless being, this limitless consciousness is joy, is bliss. Sat means pure being. Pure being means I am there all the time. My being is not limited. See, here our being is limited, right? I am this body, but I'm not all of it. I'm so tiny. I'm a little part of this hall, and this hall is a part of California, which is a part of the United States, part of the world, part of the enormous, humongous universe. So we are so tiny. But when you see yourself as the consciousness, in which you are appearing and your waking universe is appearing, in which you, the dreamer, are appearing and your dream universe is appearing and disappearing, and in which you are appearing and your deep sleep is appearing and disappearing, then all of that, whatever you see in the deep sleep, whatever you experience in the dream, and whatever we experience in the waking, is in me the awareness. This waking universe is no limitation to me the awareness. The dream universe is, what is the one thing which is other than you in your own dreams? Nothing. Everything, everybody, whatever you experience, every place, every event is you, the dreamer, in your dreams. Nobody doubts that. What Shankaracharya is saying, you extend it to your waking state also. Dream is based on the dreaming mind. But here in the waking state, it's not the mind. It's in waking, dreaming, deep sleep, it is the one underlying consciousness from which nothing in the dream, waking, or deep sleep is different. So you're not limited. Your existence is not limited in the waking, in the dream, in the deep sleep. This unlimited existence, this unlimited awareness. See, our awareness is also limited here. We are aware, attentive, and after 30 minutes of this crazy philosophy where it's a struggle to stay awake, very limited awareness. It's a struggle to pay attention. But the one consciousness which is unflickering, effortless, which is the witness of your alert mind, which is the witness of the wavering attention, which is the witness of the mind drifting off into, like a daydream or a sleep, and then coming awake again. Yes, what was going on? All of it happened in you, the awareness. That awareness is unflickering. I think it's Aurobindo who had a beautiful line. He says, the white glare of an immortal gaze. The white glare of an immortal gaze. What language? It's pure consciousness. What is the immortal gaze? You, the pure consciousness. And the white glare. White glare is there in the waking, in the deep sleep, in the dream also. In fact, this universe here, which seems to be so solid and real and apart from us, and the dream and the deep sleep is constituted of that white glare. This universe is your radiance. Vivekananda said that this universe is a mirror in which the Atman looks at itself. And the mirror is different from you, but this mirror, the universe mirror, is not different from you. You are looking at yourself. You, through your own power, have projected this mirror into which you can see. How do you see yourself? As this. As this. Paramahamsa gatim turiyam. Tad brahma nishkalam ham nacha bhuta sanghaha. That Brahman, that limitless existence consciousness bliss, in which this universe arises like a wave in our ocean, plays around for a while and disappears back into the ocean. The ocean is neither increased nor diminished by the arising and disappearance of this wave. You are that ocean. Partless. Ocean also has parts, regions, but you are partless. I will not explain. If we have time today or tomorrow, I'll explain more. Nishkalam, partless. It's basically a repudiation, a negation of difference. Difference in two ways. One is desha kala vastu parichinna shunya. That means in you, the consciousness, there is no limitation of space. Here we seem very limited in space because we identify ourselves as with this body. So I am here but not there. You are there but not here. And we are all here in California but not in New York, for example. We're limited in space. But you, the pure being or pure consciousness, you're not limited in space. Imagine the dream example. That's a very good example. In your dream world, you seem to be located, I'm here. Poor King Janaka thought, I have been thrown out of my kingdom. Now I'm in the neighboring kingdom. I am rolling in the dust here and weeping. So there is this vast world apart from me. That was my kingdom. This is where I'm exiled now. But when he woke up, that kingdom which he had lost, that place where he was rolling on the dust, all of it, wasn't it all him in his mind? Exactly like that. This universe, a little bit of which we know, the vast unknown, as the known and the unknown are entirely appearing in you. You are not limited to a particular corner of space here. The entirety of space appears in you. According to Advaita Vedanta, you are not in this hall. The hall is in you. You are not in California. California is in you. You are not in this universe. This universe is in you. Space appears in consciousness. Time appears in consciousness. All objects, including your body and your mind, they appear in consciousness. A very good example is the dream example. All time, space, and object there, they appear in the dreaming mind. Similarly, in here, in that existence consciousness place, this universe and all its contents, and this particular person, you, from your perspective, it seems you know only a tiny slice of it and the rest of it is unknown. But exactly the same thing happens in the dream. So, Nishkalam, there is no division of time, there is no division of space, there is no division of object. No division of space, that means all space is in you. Therefore, you are Sarvavyapi, all pervasive. Just like in your dream world, there is no place in the dream world where you are not actually, because it's all in you. Because time is in you, you are eternal. And because nothing in that world of dreams is separate from you, similarly, nothing in this universe is separate from you, the consciousness, or you, the pure being. Therefore, there's no second thing distinct from you. You are non-dual, Advaitam. In Sanskrit, Sarvavyapi, Nitya, Advaita. All pervasive, eternal, non-dual. This is the meaning of Nishkalam, without part. Another meaning would be the three kinds of possible differences. Sajatiya, Vijatiya, Swagata. Three kinds of differences. So I am pure consciousness. How many pure consciousnesses are there? There are not many pure consciousnesses. And consciousness is that singular which has no plural. So there is no second Brahman apart from you. No division between one Brahman and the other. This is not possible. There's only one infinite. Okay. But other than Brahman, other than me, the consciousness, other stuff is there, right? No, non-conscious stuff and all. No. All that stuff is nothing other than you. It's an appearance in you. Therefore, no vijatya, no difference between two different kinds of entities. And the third one is, all right, so I am this one limitless consciousness, but within me there are differences, right? So I am this person, and there's another person, there are living things, non-living things, there's God and the sentient beings, time and space, all these are different things within the same one consciousness. Is that what you want to say? No, not even that. It is a one homogeneous consciousness. All differences are appearances. Just like on a movie screen, if you see people and cars and trucks and roads and the ocean and the sky, they are not different things. All of them is the same movie screen. Similarly, it's one homogeneous consciousness, that one partless Brahman I am. Not what I always take myself to be, this bundle, this material bundle, bundle of matter constituting a body, somehow generating a mind and consciousness. If you take the materialist perspective, it's like saying what we are as persons. It's like you take a Coca-Cola or Pepsi bottle and you open it and fizzes for a while. So according to the materialist reductionist, what is happening is you are a bundle of chemical reactions. Like a bottle is sitting on the table and fizzing, you are sitting there on the chair and fizzing for a while. When it loses its fizz, it's dead. Basically, you bury it or burn it or something. That's the consequence of being a materialist reductionist. All right. So this is the first verse. I think I did a pretty good job of teasing out the basic teachings there. Prātaḥ smarami hridisang sphurad atmatattvam. At dawn, I contemplate the reality of myself, ever shining forth in the heart. Now, each of those words has deep meanings, you know now. Satchit Sukha Swarupam, of the nature of existence, consciousness, bliss. Paramahamsa Gatim Turiyam, the fourth attainable by the Paramahamsa sannyasis, which for us means anybody who's seeking that enlightenment. Yat swapna jagara sushuptam aveti nityam. You, the consciousness, who illumines the waking, dreaming, and deep sleep universes. Tat brahma nishkalam aham, that partless Brahman I am, not a bundle of matter. All right, Q&A. We'll do maybe 10 minutes of that.
We're very grateful to Swami Sarvapriyananda for his brilliant and insightful discourse on the scheme of non-duality at dawn. Part 2, 7:30 p.m. tomorrow. Part 3, 7:30 p.m. day after tomorrow. So come again for the next 2 days. We have about 10 minutes for questions, so who would like to ask a question?
Tell us your name and ask the question. Raise your hand and they will come to you. Yeah.
Say your name and quickly.
Pranam Maharaj, thank you for your talk. My name is Tejas. My question is, when we're doing discernment with dreams, it's not what, say, psychologists would do, right? If there was a psychologist in Janaka's time, they might say, oh, you're having this dream because of your deep-seated anxiety. It's different. So we shouldn't examine necessarily the content of the dreams. We should just neti it away. And my question is, if we're having a spiritual dream, say I dream a Swami gave me some advice, should we also neti that away, or should we take more consideration into it because it's a spiritual dream, or should we think, no, that's not real, the spiritual, like, it's not?
All right. So the question is, it's not what a psychologist does when you consider the dream, the way Advaita looks at it, and the way your therapist might look at it. You know, sit on the couch or lie on the couch and talk about your dreams. Now, you're right. And the answer to your question is yes and no. You have to be careful there. Just as when we are interested in the gold, we are not really interested in whether it's a necklace or a bracelet or a ring. We are interested in the gold. We know it's the same gold. That's what we are interested in. We are not interested in how it looks, what you call it, and where you wear it. We are interested in the reality itself. However, that does not negate the fact that the necklace is something you put on your neck, and the bracelet is something you put in your wrist, and the ring is something you put on your finger. Similarly, the fact that it's the one witness consciousness which you are, which illumines and makes possible your dream experience, your waking experience, and deep sleep experience. That's what we are interested here right now. But that does not negate the fact that the psychologist may have something important to tell you as a person, as Tejas, as a person in the day-to-day world. Some important insight about your mind by analyzing your dream can tell you some valid things. Similarly, a spiritual master can impart something through your dreams and which will be valid for your spiritual practices. So Advaita Vedanta does not negate the vyavahara, the transactional reality, right? So just as the psychologist's role is untouched and the spiritual teacher's role is untouched, they continue to do what they are doing with same validity, with the same effect. But what we are doing here is what makes it all possible. As you said, in order to know the reality, we are turning away for the time being from the contents of the dream to the light which illumines our dreams. We are turning away from the contents of this world and indeed our own body and mind to the reality which illumines this body, mind, and the world. Right? We are turning away more carefully from the blankness, the seeming void of deep sleep, to that which it is appearing to. Deep sleep seems quite contentless. The contents are there, but they are in a seed form. But then what does it appear to? That blankness, what does it appear to? Yeah. So in Advaita Vedanta, actually it's a Sankhyan idea, that turn away from the object to that to which the object is appearing. I won't even say the word subject, because immediately we objectify the subject also. Anyway, yeah, that is, so you're right. In this analysis, we are not looking at the contents of the dream, but rather at the dreamer, and more carefully at that which makes dreamer, waker, deep sleeper possible, the fourth. Yes.
Hello, thank you for your talk in person. My name is Phyllis, and earlier, about 10 to 8 before my little alarm to remind me to take a pill went off, and I humbly apologize to everybody for that. You distinguished between mind and consciousness, and I understand that, having been aware of Vedanta teachings for a long time. But how do you distinguish between awareness and consciousness?
Oh, I don't.
Oh, you don't?
I don't.
Okay.
These words, there is no an unambiguous term for the word chit. There are many words in Sanskrit, not even one word in English or maybe other language, I don't know. Chit, samvit, bodha, chiti. There are multiple words which all denote the same thing, pure consciousness. So in English we have to use words like consciousness, awareness, pure awareness.
And then you said a little later that the body is distinct from consciousness.
Yes.
Then could you say the mind is distinct from consciousness?
Right.
Okay. Thank you.
I will make it a little more precise. Listen to this carefully. If you want me to tell you more precisely, I will say the first step is to distinguish body and mind, distinguish consciousness from body, consciousness from the mind. But what Advaita Vedanta wants to say is that body and mind are ultimately not distinct from consciousness. What I mean by this is, it's like this. When you dream of people, places, happenings. But you, the dreamer, are distinct from those people, places, happenings, because when you wake up, they're gone. Are you with me? But those people, places, and happenings in your dream, they are not distinct from you because they can't exist without you. No? Yeah. Now the claim in Advaita Vedanta is exactly like that, right here. You, the existence, consciousness, bliss, you are distinct from this universe, but this universe is not distinct from you.
Right. So you are not your body, you are not your mind.
You are pure consciousness, pure being, but your body, mind, and indeed everybody else is nothing but you. Yeah. They are all one with you. They depend on you, but you don't depend on them. Yeah.
More so far, this side is winning with awareness.
Thank you very much. My name is Beena Bhatia. And you were talking about Janak and Neti Neti, and Idama, he's talking about this is correct or this is correct. But Janak fell in, when he saw Ram, he felt bhakti also. So how do you distinguish or how do you correlate with Advait and the bhakti?
Yeah, it's a good question. I'm glad you brought it up. There are two different paths, but they lead you to the same realization. They're different paths. As the approach, one is heart-based, one is maybe mind or intellect-based, only to begin with. But both of them take you to the same place. Swami Turiyananda used to say, Vivekananda could say, I am that, I am Brahman. Turiyananda, who was a strict non-dualist, he said, it does not come so easily to us. So I say, thou, mother, thou, thou. Tuhu, tuhu, thou, thou. And Vivekananda could say that I am that. But basically they're talking about the same thing. One is expressed in a philosophical language, in the language of the intellect. One is expressed in the language of the heart. I have heard Vaishnava Babajis, who are monks, but devoted to Krishna, Radha, living in Vrindavan, teaching about the love of God, about what is ultimately real. They're literally saying exactly what I'm saying, but in a different language, and perhaps in a more appealing and sweeter language. I heard one Vaishnava Babaji saying that you see, the first thing we have to do in the bhakti, in the path of bhakti, is to rise above our sense of I. It's like a house in which we are trapped. People are driven mad by this sense of I, this ego. We never inquire into it. But the tremendous claim, and he's on the path of bhakti, he's saying that making the tremendous claim that I am not I. I am not this one single ego. The moment you step back from that into your real nature, then real bhakti is possible. Then what happens is, you realize that Babaji is saying, you have to realize that for real bhakti, you have to realize this body is not I. This is an instrument for the service of the Lord. This mind is not I. This is an instrument for the contemplation of the Lord. I am just zero. The Lord alone exists here. And I spend my time in this way, in contemplating on my beloved. Not I, but thou. This is, to me, it's the reverse and obverse and reverse of the same truth. Yeah. But good. Therefore, many of us here have a strong bhakti practice, and we must realize that these are not contradictory. These are not contradictory. If your basic practice is bhakti, you stick to that. And somebody will say, Swami, don't worry, I'm going to stick to it regardless of what you say. Yeah, stick to that. But it's good to know these things. Good to know these. Just know these things. That's Sri Ramakrishna said. Get a basic understanding of Advaita Vedanta and then do whatever you like. Advaita gyan achole vedhe jaichyatai karo. Tie the knowledge of Advaita to the hem of your cloth, then do whatever you like. Whatever you like means you can do bhakti, you can do service, you can do meditation, you can do all of them. But the basic idea of this is, Advaita would claim, this is the science of reality. This is what it is at its most basic level. That is bare level. And then on that, you construct whatever superstructure you'd love to construct. Okay, let's take one more question. Yes.
Pranam Swamiji. My name is Vikram, and my question is about action. In the 3 states, I think in the deep sleep state, I feel there's complete stillness. At least I don't experience the action. When I'm dreaming, I still feel like I'm doing something, and the experience of action is very prominent when I'm in the waking state.
Yes.
Why does the mind and the body bound to action? Like the illusion of time, or the time gives me a sense. Like, for example, I'm here right now, but after 15 minutes, I will go into my car, I'll drive back home. So my question is, why is the mind and the body tied to action, and how much control I have towards my action? Because like after 10 minutes, I don't know what I'm going to do. I'll get into the car and go home. If I wouldn't be here, I wouldn't go into the car and go home.
Right.
So,
yeah, this is a good question. It is not literally true that there is no action in deep sleep, but yes, from our perspective as agents of action, and I do something, that doesn't seem to exist in deep sleep. But remember, theoretically speaking, deep sleep, there is ajnana, ignorance. And from Sankhya cosmology, this ajnana is constituted of 3 gunas, sattva, rajas, tamas, and they are always dynamic, they are in movement. And that's why deep sleep can lead to awakening from deep sleep. So there must be something going on there which propels you back into this dream and waking. Dream and waking are based on change, on time. The moment time comes into action. See, dream and waking are what? Psychologically speaking, activity of the mind. When the mind is sleeping, that's deep sleep. When the mind starts acting, there's dream and there is waking. And acting means time. The moment mind is active means one thought to another thought, one desire to another desire, one perception to another perception. That requires time. Time means change. Change means action. And when the mind becomes active, the sense of ego comes, I. And that I is always connected immediately to mind and body, one mind and one body. And sense of doership comes, and the sense of, bhoktritva is often translated into English as enjoyership, but it's actually more sufferership, if I can invent a new term. So enjoying and suffering. Yeah. So all of this, it comes when don't call emergency services. Yeah. Okay, one more question. I think there's somebody.
All the way to the back.
All right, yes, somebody in the back.
Yes. Give the mic to her.
And then we'll take one more here. Gentleman, there.
Yes. My name is Dhriti Bagchi. I just came here first time, and
I'm sorry.
I'm listening to. But
that's not what you should hear in the first time when you come.
I just wanted to know about the Paramahamsa, that word. What is the use, what is the meaning of that?
Yeah, the Paramahamsa is actually technically a title for a particular kind of monk, usually the highest order of monks, which we belong to. So, yeah, but it literally means, the highest meaning is actually the Atman, your real nature, yes. And it means, if you take one step down, it means the enlightened person, like Ramakrishna Paramahamsa. Mm-hmm. And then there is an order of monks called the Paramahamsa monks. Yeah, but take it in a general sense. All spiritual seekers, we are seeking this realization of who am I. So Paramahamsa Gatim, the one which which the Paramahamsas want to realize, one which they realize, Paramahamsas realize. Yes.
Yeah, thank you very much, Swami. And I'm here just to see you in person, because all these years...
Tell us your name?
Manoj. Yeah, all these years I just watched you on screen in pixels. Now I'm just watching you in person, maybe some of many living cells. And just one thing, I wanted to ask. So, after all these years, so just by sitting for 2 hours waiting for you, felt bored. So after all these years, how could you maintain that curious kid look on your face? So because you are saying, you are repeating the concepts and all over again, but how could you? I can see this first time you said all the concepts here. As such, you are saying it in the first place. So how could you maintain that?
Okay.
And it's the constant speeches of yours, like it's the first time, as you say for the first time. So sorry, I'm stumbling.
Right. It's something nobody has asked me. So full marks for an original question. And that gives me pause, because most of the questions you'll notice I immediately start answering without a pause, because mostly I have heard those questions and I know some of the answers, or at least I can say something about it. Yeah, there are two reasons. One prosaic, but one very, very deep. The prosaic part of it is, I love this subject. So you talk about it, I'm always willing to talk about it. So I love this. I love studying about it, hearing about it, talking about it, sharing it, and so on. But another thing, it brings me to the first line of the hymn which we just did. Prātaḥ smarami. And literally it means in the morning I recollect or remember. Hridhi sangsphurad atma tattvam, the real nature of the self, ever spontaneously shining forth in the heart. Now, if there is something present, it's not correct to say I remember it. So Manoj is there. Am I seeing you or am I remembering you? I'm seeing you. The self, pure consciousness, awareness, is always undimmed, blazing forth effortlessly all the time. We may not look at it. We are using it all the time to look outwards. But it's always available. Vivekananda called it the open secret. And it's always fresh. Each time you look at it, it's there. It's amazing. It is making everything possible. It's always a fountain of freshness. Yeah. It's like, if you look at the sun, don't directly, but if you look at the sun, it is very curious. It's the same ball of light, but it never feels old. It's blazing forth with such vigor and power all the time, empowering all of life in this sense. It's amazing. But that's still a material light. It's a star. It's a sort of very ordinary medium-sized star. And the Atman is the light of lights, is the light of all the suns of the universe. And it's your real nature. It's all the time available. So that's the source of all freshness. For all of us, it's always available all the time. It makes everything possible in our lives. Good question.
So it's
basically a perspective how you look at it.
Yeah.
Then it makes sense.
Yes. First of all, is a love for the subject. So I never tired of talking about this. But consider what I said about that. When Shankaracharya says, I remember early in the morning, recollect, there are two meanings to that. One is, yes, you can recollect all your Vedantic learning and make it available, put it to bear on your experience of waking up. Bring it to bear on your experience of waking up. Okay, here's something I forgot to mention. There is a verse in all places in the Bhagavatam, which is a remarkable text of devotion and knowledge. In the Bhagavatam, there is a verse which says, at the junction of dream and waking, take a look at yourself. You will realize what you truly are. And the next line is stunning. Then you will come to know bondage and liberation are illusions. They don't exist in reality. Maya matram bandha moksham cha na vastutah. So, junction of dreaming and waking. That's a powerful doorway to recognize what you are. And that which you are is not available only at the junction of waking and dreaming. Once you recognize it, it's available now. All the time. Effortlessly. And then that thing is beyond our concepts of bondage and liberation. That I am in bondage, I am a spiritual seeker, now I will attain enlightenment, liberation. You realize that it doesn't apply to you, actually, that reality. Yeah. Yes, that's the last question, then we have run out of time. Tomorrow, others can ask questions tomorrow.
Namaste Swami, my name is Harish. I resonate with both of them, first discourse or any spiritual class, as well as I've seen a lot of videos of yours. With that, I have two questions, one very basic and one basic. Very basic is when you say, like we say, with respect to Advaita, we say, Ishavasyam idam sarvam, so God is all-pervading Shiva or Brahman. And we also say it's pure bliss or pure consciousness. So in matter, like for example, the world, do we have the consciousness? Like, does it assume that it has consciousness or not? Or is the consciousness also a manifestation of that? Like, is it something which is in the living body and not in the objects? That's one question. And
okay, let me take it one by one. So let me reduce the question to its basic form. You are asking that we hear consciousness is all-pervading, and now we have all of these, we are experiencing all of this. So is consciousness there everywhere? Especially you're asking in non-living beings. That's what you're asking?
Yeah.
So in this table and chair?
Say it's pure consciousness.
Yes.
Pure consciousness as well. So yeah, does chair and other things have consciousness as we do have?
Yeah. So we do have consciousness. Does the chair have consciousness? Straight answer from the Advaita perspective, it's not really that we have consciousness. Rather, consciousness has us. We are appearing in consciousness. You are the consciousness in which you're Manoj. The Manoj personality, Harish, sorry. Who was Manoj? That was Manoj. So Harish. So in consciousness, the Manoj personality, Harish personality, Sarvapriyananda personality are appearing, and the body and the shared world which we are experiencing. So in consciousness they are appearing. So we are being pushed from this paradigm that I am a body with consciousness. I am a body with mind and consciousness. This is common sense. We would describe ourselves as that. We are bodies, there is consciousness, there is mind. Is reversing that. You are consciousness with a mind and a body. By mind I mean this personality of Harish and a body. So body mind, consciousness with body mind. Now we can answer the question. The same consciousness, tables and chairs appear, but they are not like us living beings. So they lack a living body, they lack what is called a subtle body. Mind, intellect, prana, which makes us sentient beings and these insentient beings. Ultimately, do they all have consciousness? The answer is, ultimately consciousness is the reality in which all of these are appearing. So yes, but they appear in consciousness. Just like in your dreams, in your dream, There are people, there are animals, and there are tables and chairs and rocks and dirt and sky and all. So in your dreams also there are living beings with minds of their own, and there are non-living things. But really, the truth is, when you wake up, all those non-living things and the living things were nothing other than the mind of Harish. In that sense.
Okay, got the answer. Like basically, it has it has the underlying reality as the pure consciousness. The second question was on the dream. So you mentioned that just like in the dream, like in my understanding, dream is brain projects the me or that in me sees.
Slowly. These are very profound things. The moment you say brain projects, this is where consciousness studies is stuck. This is the hard problem of consciousness. Does brain project a dream? Then you've already bought into the materialist reductionist paradigm. If you say mind projects a dream, fine. Nobody disputes that. But what is the relationship between mind and brain? That is the whole question since Descartes. But what was your question?
Yeah, so if no, thanks for clarifying. So I was just saying the mind projects and the consciousness sees the movie. Like it's probably the way the dream works. So the question was, you concluded that like similarly, so the real world is an appearance or it's a projection from the real me. So I just want some clarification there because mind is manifestation of the pure consciousness and it has a function of projecting dream or whatever. Similarly, thinking, intellect, yes. And then I sees, etc. So how did we conclude? Like, can we say the me sees the world? Okay, that's fine. But for example, we can take an example of hand, so we can grasp something. But can we just conclude directly that similarly, this way, the consciousness can clasp or grasp the world, something like that? So,
let me just say one thing, and then we can take it up later. You just think about it, because these are very deep metaphysical questions. The question of realism versus idealism. Is it that the world exists and then you come to know it? Or is it that you know it and in your knowing the world exists, like in a dream, right? So these questions are very deep there. Just use that, think about that basic criterion I'm giving you. If two things are independent and separate, you should be able to experience them separately. I gave you the example of the table and the cloth. You can see the table? Can you see the cloth? No. You can experience the cloth. Are you seeing the table now? No. You can see them separately. They exist separately. This is a very crude way of putting it, but it's a simple idea. Now, the universe, anything that you know, is it possible to have any kind of experience of anything without consciousness? No. So, if on that criterion of two things, if they are separate, you should be able to experience them separately. On that criterion, you cannot say that the universe is a separate reality apart from consciousness. It runs deeply, it's deeply counterintuitive to the way we have been taught, because our whole worldview is a modern scientific worldview, which is an objective worldview, which is also at its heart a materialist worldview. But that's just one possible metaphysics out of several alternative metaphysics. And people are actually beginning to question it now. One thing I'll share with you here. One reason why I like Advaita so much is it does not go against any of the accepted findings of mainstream science. It's easily compatible. Yeah, let's end with that. Om Shanti 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 Harihi Om Tat Sat Shri Ram Krishna Arpanamastu. Thank you.
So, okay, thank you all for coming, and thanks Swami for joining us. So we'll hear him tomorrow also at 7:30 to 8:30. Please come. Thank you.
Please come.